Well, for this session, guys, I'm in front of my favorite thing in the world, which is a whiteboard. A whiteboard for me is a place where I love to brainstorm, I love to teach, I love to talk, and things like that. And this session is a lot about this right here. It's about one word. The power of one word in your calendar. How one word in your calendar can make all the difference in the world. Let me give you an example. If I grab my trusty blue marker here, and I write down on Sunday, every Sunday at 10 a.m., if this is in my calendar, 10 a.m., I write the word worship. I write the word worship. It makes a difference. If I write the word worship at 10 a.m. every single Sunday, or 11:15, I'm just using my church's service times right now, but if you write down that one word, the power it can make in your life when your phone goes off and it tells you it's time for you to leave for worship, in 15 minutes you're supposed to be there. Or if you're like me and you use Google Calendar, it comes up in your daily schedule of what you might be doing that week. If you can write down the power of that one word, can make a big difference. How about this one? I was talking to a friend of mine this week who said the power of one word has changed his health situation. He writes this down. He writes down exercise. Exercise. When he writes down exercise in his calendar and it goes off 15 minutes on his phone before he's supposed to exercise, it makes a difference. It might be what about this one? I know people that do this one. They write down the word sleep. Maybe you're somebody who has trouble going to bed on time. If every night at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight, whatever it might be for you, maybe it's 9 o'clock, you write down the word sleep in your calendar. It makes a difference when your alarm goes off and says, I need to go to bed. Maybe you've got an Apple Watch. I know one of the things the Apple Watches do is they do things like tell you to stand up, right? The power of a single word can influence and change your life. One of my favorite stories, in fact, I'm going to grab a red marker for this one because the logo of that marker is red, or of this class is red. But I know somebody that wrote down the word alpha in their calendar. Alpha, which is a class on basic Christian beliefs. I know a guy that he met somebody at church. He'd come to their church for the very first time, and he wrote the person write down the word alpha in their iCal on that Sunday morning, and they wrote down the word alpha in their calendar. And he said, I want you to commit to the first 3 weeks. So he put it in his calendar for 3 weeks. You know, alpha, I think, was a 10 or a 12-week class. And he put it in his calendar every, I think it was Wednesday night, alpha. And he came for the first 3 weeks, and he just kept coming because the power of that word changed his life. He ended up, the man who wrote down alpha in his calendar, his life changed, and he gave it to Jesus at the end of alpha and was baptized. And his life's been completely transformed by the power of just writing alpha in his calendar. Let me tell you something. There's power in a single word in your calendaring life, in taking control of your life. It will make a difference. And that's why this calendar thing is so important for all of us, is when I'm erasing because this is going to be a major part of what we're doing here today. When we calendar something, it can revolutionize the way we look at things. If you are like me and you use a phone calendaring app or a Google Cal or iCal or whatever it might be, when you put that word in there, it really, really begins to change things. It really, really begins to change the way that you live your life. Because what happens is when we begin to write down those words in our calendar, we begin to understand kind of the way we do things in ways we don't maybe understand. In fact, here's another word that's a really powerful one for your calendar. I'm going to write it in black. That's how important this one is. I'm going to bold it. It's this word right here. It's the word N-O. Power of the word no. 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 I'll write it in cursive that time. It is so important. The power of the word no in your life. The power of the word no allows you to say yes. The power of the word no to certain things allows you to say yes. Now, if your calendar is open, if you don't have it full, it's going to sound really silly, if you don't have it full, you'll never be able to say yes to things. If you don't have it, scheduled, you'll never be able to have margin. That's going to sound really, really strange, but you'll understand here what I mean by this. By the end of this time class, this calendar class, these sessions that we're going through, you'll begin to understand what I mean by this. By the end of this, I hope you begin to understand that the words that you write down in your calendar affect everything that you do. Like, here's another word for you. What if you put in your calendar the word family? What if you scheduled your family time? What if you put in your calendar, at this point, in this time, in this day, that's when I'm with my family? Because if you know, let's say it's Tuesday nights. If you know that Tuesday and Thursday nights are family nights and nobody can touch those. So once you're home from work, let's say you work till 5, you're home by 5:30 at night. If you put in your calendar from 5:30 to bedtime and your sleep time, whatever that might be, let's say it's 11. From 5:30 to 11 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, those, what amounts to 5.5 hours, right? Those 5.5 hours on those 2 nights, that's 11 hours a week, cannot be touched because those are family time. It allows you to say no to things. It allows you to say no when great opportunities come along. Somebody comes to you and says, hey, on Tuesday night, I really would love to go out to dinner with you. No, that's family time. Oh, on Tuesday nights, we're planning on having a get-together with such and such a group of people. No, that's family time. On Tuesday nights, the church is doing this amazing class. No, that's family time. On Tuesday nights, oh man, on Tuesday night, I really need to talk to you about X. Well, is this a problem we're going to solve on Tuesday night? No, it'll probably still be there on Wednesday. Okay, well, Tuesday night's family time, so no. It's amazing the power of one word. The power of a word like family allows you to say no, so that you can say yes to it at a different time. Say yes to it at a different time. Let me give you another example for my own life. I'm filming this on a Tuesday morning, and on my calendar on Tuesday morning, and look at that black marker no doesn't want to erase. That's funny. On Tuesday mornings, I have what's called creative space for me. It's called creative space. Creative and teaching space. And so on Tuesday morning, I know I'm creating teachings and writing teachings and brainstorming and being creative. So I know on Tuesdays, that's creative time for me. So I'm filming this class on a Tuesday. Now, that means if my phone rings, I won't hear it because my phone's off. Well, maybe that's another word you need to write into your calendar. Off. In relation to your phone or your TV or whatever it might be. But we need to learn the power of a single word to transform and this is what's so crazy about it. We might think of it as it's a word that's changing my time, it's a word that's changing my calendar, but what it really is, it's a word that's actually going to change your life. The power of a single word can change your life. It can change the way you live it. If you know Tuesdays and Thursdays are family and nothing can touch it, it's going to change your impact with your spouse, if you're not married, with your close friends, because they may be your family. It might be alone time. If you put in the word worship and you commit to worship at 10 o'clock every single Sunday in your church, it might actually make you go to worship. Let's say you take a couple of weeks of vacation. Maybe you go 45 times a year. Can you imagine if you went and worshiped every single weekend 45 times a year, the difference it would make in your life? Can you imagine if you put the word group in your thing, and you knew that every other week you went to small group on, let's say it's Thursday night. On Thursday night, and you did that for a year, every other week, 26 times you went and got encouragement and prayer and met more people that you met other people that are following Jesus, and you study with them, you develop friendships in the church. What difference would that make in your life in a year? There's a power in a word when you put it in your calendar. Maybe you decide you want to volunteer, and you write down the word volunteer somewhere. It might not be just in your church, but it might be a local homeless shelter, or it might be in the community. You wrote down the word volunteer every single third Saturday of the year, and 12 times a year you volunteered, or whatever it might be. There's a power in a word to change not just your calendar, not just to change your time, but actually to change your life, friends. There's a power in the word, because when you calendar and you're saying yes to family, saying yes to worship, saying yes to rest, saying yes to a small group, or to volunteering, or to working out, to exercise, when you say yes to those things, it allows you to say no to things that begin to distract you. See, here's one of the dangers of calendar is distraction, isn't it? I just want to sit down for a few minutes and watch a little TV. I just want to go and do nothing for a while. And you know what? You can calendar that too. You can calendar that too. See, it's really important for you to understand something. There's power in one word in your calendar because it means that you are grabbing control of your life. You're grabbing control of your time. You're grabbing the chaos that is our world so many times, and you're making it a priority to calendar. You're making it a priority to go, I am in charge of my time. Now, some of you don't feel that way. But let me tell you something. You are in charge of your calendar, and no one else is. This is one of the hardest concepts when it comes to time management. You are in charge of your calendar and no one else is. Do you remember that story I told you from the very first in the very first session, where I said came a time where I just said, I'm not working on Saturdays. Yes, do we need the money? Absolutely. Yes, did I want to keep my job? You bet I did. But I had to say no to work on Saturdays so that I could take a rest, so I could work with passion, with energy, with creativity, with excitement the other 6 days of the week. And as I explained the why to my family, to my church, and to my employers, they understood. And they realized how much more they got out of me when I had rest. Rest is a powerful word to write in your calendar. You are in charge of your calendar. And some of us go, I don't feel in charge. It feels chaotic. It feels like my boss is always calling me. My boss, you are in charge. We choose the jobs that we take. We do. We choose the jobs that we take. We choose the life path that we take. Now, it might mean that it's going to take some big shifts for some of us, but we are in charge. Well, I'm a parent and my kids are in all these sports and they have all these schedules. You are in charge of your calendar. Did you know, my parents did a crazy thing for me when I was a young man. And now what I'm about to say is going to, some of you parents are going to about to have a cow when I say what I'm about to say. And I was not a believer, but my parents were, and they went to church. And they said Sunday is for church. It was on the calendar. Worship was on the calendar for our family. And if there was a practice or even a game on a Sunday, I didn't get to go. And it marked me. It set up something in my heart that was really, really important. And that is that we can say no to things, even to sporting events. That might be really difficult if you're the coach of a softball team or if your kid's really, really good at basketball. And there are going to be times where you have the power to say no. What we think is that everybody else controls my time. The truth is, you can always take it back over. You can always control your time. You can always say no to things. Are there exceptions? I think there are maybe one or two, and let me tell you what they are in my life. And you might have to set up your priorities as well, which is what we're going to talk about next. If you're married, this needs to be you and your spouse together. You cannot do this by yourself. It needs to be the two of you together. The two of you need to do it together. If you're a single, you have the blessing of it's just you and God having the conversation. Okay? But you need to set up, are there any exceptions to certain things? For me, as a pastor, there is the exception of somebody in our family, our staff, or a close team when there's a death and we need to be a part of a funeral. We will make an exception and adjust the time, adjust the schedule, adjust the calendar. And if there is an emergency in one of those areas, let's say somebody gets in a car accident or something like that, if there's an emergency in one of those areas. But here's what I've learned, especially in pastoral ministry, is there are so many times, there are so many times when other people want to monopolize and control your calendar. And you cannot let people monopolize and control your calendar. Now, for us, we've said emergencies like a car accident or a death in the family, those can adjust our calendar. But for the most part, nothing else can. And so we've learned the power of the word no, because we've said yes to the things that matter the most. And what I want to begin to encourage you guys this is, if you are in charge of your calendar, you need to realize what your priorities are. What is the person that you want to look like 6 months, a year from now? Who do you want to become as an individual? And you calendar who you want to become. Well, I want to become healthy. I can't just say I want to become healthy. So I'm going to say I'm going to cut down my meal intake and say no snacks after a certain part of the time, right? Or I'm going to cut out sugars or sodas or whatever it might be. You have to make those decisions. The same thing is true in your calendar. You need a calendar times to exercise. You need a calendar times to rest. In fact, sleep is an important part of health and your health journey. So make sure that you're calendaring regular sleep and things like that. So you got to look at, who do I want to become a year from now? If I want to be a better leader a year from now, I need a calendar times to get better to be a leader. I need to calendar times to listen to leadership podcasts or to read leadership books, whatever it might be. I want to become a better person in my family. Let's say I want to be a better dad, a better husband. I need a calendar, more family time, more date nights in my calendar so that I can be that man that I want to be 6 months to a year from now. And you all have to begin to decide what your priorities are. So as we wrap up this session, this is so important. You have power in your calendar through one word. One word will make all the difference, whether it's exercise or worship or small group or volunteering or family. I think the most important one, rest. We have power in the one word in our calendar so that we can become the person that we want to become. And as we begin to write those words in our calendar, we begin to become the person that God wants us to be as we partner with Him. Now, sometimes, again, this is a spouse conversation if you're married, for sure. The two of you have to work these things out so that you're not calendaring opposite one another. In fact, my wife and I share our calendars so that we know what the other one is up to on a regular basis. But here's the deal. You need to take the power of the one word to schedule rest, worship, whatever it might be, so that you can become the person that you want to become in 6 months to a year. So that you can say no when something comes up, because you know that's not the person I'm trying to be. You can say no to those things so you can say yes to the person that you are trying to become. So you have to decide what your priorities are going to be. Who is the man, woman, family that you want to be a year from now? And begin to write those one words in your calendars. All right, when we come back next time, what we're going to do is get really, really practical. We're going to drill down really, really hard on how to create your calendar, the ways to start your calendar, the way to put stuff into your calendar so that you can begin to grab hold and grab a tight rein over the chaos that is sometimes our time, and really become the men and women that God designed for you to be. All right, see you back next time.